First at 5, it's one of the area's biggest economic engines, research. How many spent the day marching to defend it from major cuts and a homicide in Dane County. What we know about the early morning shooting death of a 23-year-old. Plus, last week we heard from Susan Crawford. Tonight, parts of our sit-down interview with Supreme Court opponent Brad Schimmel. You're watching News 3 Now at 5. Madison is home to one of the biggest research universities in the world. Today, hundreds of protesters met at the Capitol to, quote, stand up for science after recent cuts to the National Institutes of Health. Our Tanisha Shaw spoke to demonstrators that say the cuts could change the city of Madison.
What are you studying?
I'm getting my PhD in theoretical chemistry.
Avery Green and Alexis Mann are grad students at UW. Friday, they took a break from the lab to make sure their voices are heard.
I don't think people realize, like the everyday people of this country realize how much we do here impacts their lives, their medicines, their well-being.
In February, President Donald Trump announced he would cut funding to the National Institutes of Health. The cuts are currently on pause, but researchers are already seeing impacts.
So we need funding. We would not be here without having the funding that we've gotten from NIH and NSF.
To put it into perspective, the researchers told me that without funding, it would have taken several months or even years for scientists to discover vaccines for viruses like COVID and the flu.
But if there hadn't been the nation's top scientists working day and night 24/7 with all the help from funding of the federal government, we would not have had that vaccine ready in time. It would have taken months, years to get out.
Reporting in Madison, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanisha, thank you. The protest took place in other cities around the country as well. Well, it has been a bit of a cool day due to the snow, but how will the weekend look? Meteorologist Blaze Keller on the weather patio with what we can expect.
It's going to be a beautiful weekend. We're beginning to see the sunshine now as we're wrapping up your Friday, and that is going to continue into your Saturday and Sunday, the sunny conditions. So if we take a look at where the cloud cover is still lingering, Janesville, so over Rock County, parts of Dane County, as well as Greene County, Walworth County, Dodge County, you're kind of getting the picture. Southeastern Wisconsin, you're still underneath that cloud cover, but as I just said, as we go into your Saturday and then further into Sunday, we're going to see more sunshine. Temperatures are then going to rebound out of the 30s today into the 40s tomorrow and then 50s for your Sunday. It's 44 in La Crosse, 36 Mineral Point, as well as in Platteville and Janesville, 35 Watertown, 40 in the Dells. We've had a little bit more sunshine, so we're a little bit warmer. 39 Sauk City, 36 Sun Prairie, 35 in Stoughton. We're all hanging out right around 36, 37 degrees in Dane County. Now tonight, we are going to slowly chip away at the remaining cloud cover, leaving us with clear to mostly clear conditions, hanging out in the teens to low 20s, so right around where we should be for this time of year. We're going to take a look at the pretty quiet week ahead, talk about temperatures and maybe a late week large system that could bring us some thunderstorms. That's coming up in the full forecast.
All right, Blaze, thank you. The Dane County Sheriff's Office investigating a homicide at a Town of Pleasant Springs gas station. According to the Sheriff's Office, that shooting was reported a little after midnight this morning. Happened at the BP gas station just off I-3990. A 23-year-old man was found dead at the scene. Deputies say the suspects and the victim knew each other, but it is unknown what the extent of that relationship is at this time. The Sheriff's Office adds there is no danger to the public, but did not elaborate.
I'm always worried that somebody will be coming in to rob us yeah. And I know there's a drug problem next door, so.
Currently, there are no suspects in custody. Detectives are looking to interview witnesses, but if you have any information, you're asked to call Madison area Crime Stoppers. A man injured after a shooting on Madison's east side Wednesday night. Police were called to a local hospital after a 20-year-old man arrived with a gunshot wound. He told officers he was spending time with his friends at a home on Sinekin Circle when a gun accidentally went off. Police say everyone in the home knew each other and that an investigation is still ongoing. The Wisconsin Elections Commission is moving to continue its investigation into Madison's uncounted ballots. The investigation was originally launched in January, looking to find an explanation into how 193 ballots from 3 different wards went unprocessed. The WEC is also directing staff to craft some guidance for clerks on how to proceed if a similar situation occurs in another city. Now, that guidance will be released before the April 1st general election. Well, we are a little more than a month, 3 weeks now out from the April 1st election, which features a crucial race for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Our political reporter Will Keneally joins us now with more. Will?
This will decide the balance of the state Supreme Court. There's a one-seat liberal majority on the bench right now, and it's a liberal seat that's up this spring. We've been bringing you one-on-one sit-downs with the candidates running. Last week, liberal candidate Susan Crawford, and this week we sit down with the conservative candidate Brad Schimmel. And we asked him about when he decided to make that jump from Waukesha County judge to now running for state Supreme Court.
And this is what's motivated me to get in the race, is we have a court that is now legislating from the bench. They don't like what the legislature has done, so they're changing it. That's a problem.
Now you can see more from our interview this Sunday on For the Record, including more from Schimmel's judicial philosophy and how the former Republican Attorney General plans to keep neutrality on the bench. That's the Sunday at 10:30.
Will, thank you. President Donald Trump expected to sign an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. There's also growing uncertainty about the future of the financial arm of the agency, which makes loans directly to students, and whether the government will continue to lend money. The president has acknowledged his effort to shutter the agency is complicated by trillions of dollars in student loans. If the Trump administration succeeds in ending the department, some programs and funding could be retained and then shifted to other agencies. Democratic attorneys general from several states, including here in Wisconsin, are suing the Trump administration over the government's layoffs of thousands of federal employees. They say in addition to the harm the layoffs are causing the employees themselves, the mass terminations are costing their state's tax revenue. They estimate that for the District of Columbia alone, the administration's firing of probationary employees will cause millions of dollars in lost annual income tax revenue. Government data shows hiring grew for a 50th consecutive month in February. The economy added 151,000 jobs last month, and unemployment ticked up just slightly. It's now at 4.1%. But some foreshadowing in February's report, the federal government lost 10,000 jobs as the Trump administration started shrinking the federal workforce.
They were just like, hey, come in tomorrow and turn all your stuff in. You're no longer with us.
We had too many people in government. You can't just do that. We had many, too many. This is for 40 years. You know, this isn't just now.
A report from Challenger tracked more than 62,000 announced job cuts by the federal government last month, affecting 17 different agencies. Economists don't expect the full impact of those layoffs to show up until the March jobs report. A week-long boycott against shopping on Amazon has begun. The movement, started by the People's Union USA, looks to send a message loud enough to shake up the system. Organizers claim Amazon hurts small businesses and exploits its workforce. In addition to Amazon, the union also pushing for people to avoid other companies owned by the retail giant. Scouting America is picking up food this week and help those in need. Tomorrow is the annual food drive for the Scouting for Food program. Scouts will be out and about starting around 9 in the morning to pick up non-perishable food donations left on doorsteps. Some troops will also be hosting collection events at local grocery stores. All collected donations will be taken to food pantries in the area like Second Harvest Food Bank or Sunshine Place Emergency Food Pantry.
It's a matter of learning about their community, learning about the needs of their community. You know, they're going to have their eyes opened in a good way at learning about food insecurity and how they help out. And I think they're going to get excited.
According to the USDA, more than 34 million people, including 9 million children, are food insecure in the United States. Tickets will go on sale tomorrow for the 2025 Wisconsin Film Festival. This year's festival will run April 3rd through the 10th. It was first launched back in 1999, and it showcases the art and history of world cinema. There will be over 174 movies that have never appeared at the festival. The annual nonprofit is supported by UW-Madison with the goal of exposing the campus and students to films and filmmakers from Wisconsin and beyond.
Our mission is really to celebrate the act of going to the movies, that communal experience, being there with your friends, your neighbors, but also a bunch of people you don't know, and sharing this common experience and being able to walk out of a movie and turn to people you don't know and talk about the movie you just saw and bond over that movie, whether it's something you liked or something you didn't like.
Tickets for the festival go on sale at noon tomorrow. Admission is $12 for adults, $6 for children under 12. Still ahead on News 3 Now at 5, Southern officials issue warnings ahead of spring break travel. And President Trump threatens Russia's economy. This as more meetings are planned to negotiate peace in Ukraine. That's just ahead. And on Wall Street today, the markets finished the week gaining back a bit of the week's major losses. The Dow up more than 222 points. The Nasdaq adds 127. S&P 500 closes with a 32-point gain. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
President Donald Trump says Ukraine needs to move quickly to agree to a ceasefire and a peace deal, and he issued a rare threat against Russia. The president says he is strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire is reached. Now, despite that threat, President Trump says he thinks Russia is ready to negotiate.
Always had a good relationship with Putin, and, you know, he wants to end the war. He wants to end it. And I think he's going to be more generous than he has to be.
After last week's derailed meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the administration is planning talks with Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia next week. Rising grocery prices and securing the border were a big focus during the campaign last year. It drove millions of Americans to the polls, but we rarely get a look behind the scenes to see how these two key forces in American life intersect. CBS News Race Culture and CBS Reports reveal the connection between immigration and food prices by following the journey of the people, both legal and undocumented, bringing America's milk to market.
Can your farm survive, John, without immigrants?
No. It would be the end of dairy farming here. I would have to adjust my life somehow, and I'm not sure I could do it, but I'll have to.
At a meeting this week of the National Milk Producers Federation, the board of directors said immigration is the #1 challenge facing dairy farmers alongside of those tariffs. Spring break kicking into high gear this month, but there are some warnings about potential issues with both travel and safety. Spring break travel is expected to break records again. AAA says 3 of the top 4 destinations in the U.S. are in Florida. If you plan on hitting the beaches, local leaders there have a message for you.
They think we're playing here. We're not. We really don't want you here. I'll be honest with you. Nobody wants you here.
Well, there are also warnings for international travelers heading to popular destinations like Mexico. The State Department giving a level 3 travel advisory, telling Americans to reconsider travel, with the U.S. Embassy in Mexico saying it's because of crime. There's travel turmoil in France, with the busiest train station in Paris shutting down after an unexploded World War II bomb was found near the tracks. Authorities canceled all high-speed trains today running between Paris and London and Brussels as well. Bomb disposal experts were brought in to defuse the device, which weighs more than 1,000 pounds. Some Americans were among the many tourists caught up in the chaos.
So I was going to meet my friend in Brussels, but obviously the trains are all delayed, and my train was at 7:23, but now I don't know when it will be.
Workers digging up dirt during a renovation uncovered the explosive. Bombs left over from the First or Second World War are often found around parts of France, but it's rare to discover them in a location packed with people. The snow is wrapped up for southern Wisconsin. A warmer weekend is ahead. Meteorologist Blaze Keller's here with the full story. Blaze?
That's right. Plenty of sunshine, 40s tomorrow, 50s on Sunday, and then we're even warmer as we kick off next week. Not only is Monday looking to be in the 60s, but also Friday and Saturday of next week as well. But we'll talk about what brings that warmth in just a moment. Saturday, mid-40s, partly sunny to mostly sunny conditions, a little bit more sunshine further south and west. Winds are going to be light and out of the southwest on Saturday. They pick up in speed on Sunday, pulling in a little bit more warmth with more sunshine as well. That's going to allow our temperatures to get into those low to mid-50s to end your weekend. And then, as I mentioned, 60s on Monday as another low pressure system scoots just off to our north and pulls up just that little bit more warmer air to get us into those 60s to start off next week. A little bit more cloud cover off towards Fond du Lac, Watertown, Watoma, further north into Green Bay, then say folks in Platteville, Prairie du Chien, and Lone Rock for your Saturday. So a little bit warmer further south and west, but most of us will be in those 40s and 50s as we go into your Saturday. So partly sunny conditions on Saturday, more sunny conditions on Sunday. I think the future track model here is bringing in a little bit more cloud cover than what we are expecting. And then there's that low pressure system staying to our north. That's going to keep us quiet, but we do tap into those 60-degree temperatures as we kick off next week. Now, that same low pressure system that warms us up, its cold front is going to cool us back into the 50s on Tuesday, and we'll hang out there for your Wednesday and Thursday. Not anticipating any precipitation as that cold front moves through. But that cold front is going to help move in our next big system. That's going to allow us to climb into those mid-60s, maybe even squeezing out a few low 70s, the first of the season as we go into your Friday, staying in the 60s on Saturday, and then Sunday and Monday, St. Patrick's Day weekend, we will be back into those 40s. We're getting into spring, and so we tap into some of these cooler days and warmer days as these more large low pressure systems move through the area. But with a pretty dry week ahead, that is going to allow our ground to dry out a little bit, get some of that moisture back into the ground, thaw out the ground a little bit as well. It's then on Friday into Saturday that our next system moves on in. And this is going to be a very healthy, large, low pressure system. We see all three fronts here, the occluded front in the purple, the cold front in the blue extending all the way down into the Gulf, and then we have that warm front there. The occluded front is just when the cold air fully catches up to the warm front. So this will start to weaken as it pushes its way through the Midwest. But before that, it's going to bring some rain, and then on the backside of it, maybe another round of a light rain-snow mix. And as that moves out of the plains into parts of the Midwest, it may also bring us some thunderstorms, maybe even some severe weather as well. So stay with News 3 now. We will keep you updated. But because the jet stream is not into Canada yet, we'll see that in the summer. We'll still tap in at times, especially with these stronger systems, that cooler air that's just sitting off to our north. But you can see really the heart of this system as it's moving through on Saturday. The low pressure system center here, cooler air behind it, warmer air out ahead of it. So we stay dry throughout most of next week. Enjoy it. A little bit more cloud cover Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We spring forward on Sunday, but we don't anticipate really any rain until later Friday. That continues into your Saturday. Some lingering showers on Sunday, so we may need to start making some indoor plans to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. But for the actual day, it does look like we'll be in the low 40s and underneath partly sunny conditions.
All right, Blaze, thank you. And next at 5, the clocks move forward this weekend. We'll hear why some health experts want to make that change permanent. Stay with us.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
The growing measles outbreak is showing no signs of slowing down. The CDC says at least 164 cases of the virus have been detected in the U.S. since January. Experts say even after an infected person has recovered, the virus can cause lasting damage to the immune system, raising the risk of other infections. Doctors are calling this immune amnesia.
Measles infects immune cells, and when it does so, it damages immune cells and it wipes out partially your immune system's memory to certain infections. The best thing is not to get measles in the first place, and the best way to do that is to get vaccinated.
And so far this year, 2 unvaccinated people in the United States have died, a child in Texas and more recently an adult in New Mexico. That individual did not seek medical care, and the official cause of death is still under investigation. It is that time of the year again when the clock springs ahead and we lose an hour of sleep. Danya Backus has a look at why some health experts want to stop this time change.
Clocks move forward this Sunday for daylight saving time, and just like clockwork, the debate over seasonal time changes springs into action.
Do you usually kind of look forward to when we have to spring forward?
I honestly have to Google every time whether that's the one that I lose sleep on or gain sleep on, so I'm not sure if I should dread this one.
Why bother doing it? Does it really help anything? Does it really save us any daylight? I don't see the need for it anymore.
Research has shown the ritual of changing the clocks in spring and fall can impact productivity and our mental and physical health.
Honestly, even sleeping in an hour, I get groggy, and then losing the hour, I just get evil.
It's why the American Academy of Sleep Medicine wants to eliminate seasonal time changes.
It's harder to go to bed when it's light out, so that can make it harder to fall asleep, but yet our responsibilities are the same in terms of waking up for school, waking up for work.
Dr. Anita Shelgakar is president of the Academy, which recommends moving to year-round permanent standard time.
In permanent standard time, our internal body clock is best aligned with the sun and external light from the sun. It's what's best for our overall health and well-being.
Before taking office, President Trump posted his support for ending daylight saving time, saying it is inconvenient and very costly to our nation.
Personally, I think one and done. I think the adjustment, it's definitely worse when you're losing your time.
To help adjust, Dr. Shelgakar says expose yourself to bright light right away in the morning, maintain a consistent sleep and wake schedule, and minimize caffeine later in the day. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
In 2022, the U.S. Senate passed the Sunshine Protection Act, making daylight saving time permanent, but it did not go anywhere at that time. Arizona and Hawaii are the only 2 states that do not recognize daylight saving time. We'll have a final check in your first warn forecast after a short break.
New data is signaling possible trouble ahead for the economy, just as workers are being told by their bosses to get back into the office.
And Steve Hartman goes on the road to Baltimore to meet a doctor who has joined with his patients to write a prescription for a better community. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
You may have seen this last night. Space debris lighting up the skies near the southeastern coast of the United States. This is what's left after a failed test of SpaceX's Starship rocket captured by eyewitnesses in Florida. Also over in the Bahamas, the incident comes less than 2 months after a similar testing incident caused a light show over seaside areas. Actually shut some airports and affected a lot of flights off the Florida coast after that happened. Blaze is back as we take a final check of the forecast. Warming up tomorrow and then more on Sunday maybe, right?
Yeah, 40s tomorrow, 50s on Sunday. First, we got to get through a somewhat seasonal night. We'll eventually settle into the 20s, but over the next several hours, we'll hang out in the upper 20s to low 30s underneath clear to mostly clear conditions. And then as Eric was saying, and there it is, 40s on Saturday, warmer on Sunday, so a nice warm weekend. Remember, we spring forward on Sunday, get to those 60s that much sooner. We're pretty mild all next week and dry. Then we see the 60s return with some showers and maybe a few thunderstorms to end next week.
All right, Blaze, thank you. We're back in a half hour with News 3 Now at 6. The CBS Evening News is next.